Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're having a good morning. Well, Luna and I had a good walk, but she is very eager for me to have my talk with you guys so she can get me to throw some more balls to her. She has taken over my time. Well, we talked a lot about empathy, and I thought maybe we should talk a little bit about systems. We're coming up on some important systems here pretty soon. Um, let's talk about uh, there's so many. There's justice and education and many of the different things that we want in our society. Let's talk about one of the big things that is going to be big today is there's a bill in Congress to create a lot more people in the IRS and also to uh, incentivize people to buy electric vehicles by giving them a $7,500 rebate or tax credit. So let's talk about the easier of those two, or the one I know more about, which is the uh, tax rebate. This one's really important for the U.S. overall. Um, right now, at the time I'm recording this, if you want to buy an electric vehicle, there are no federal rebates unless you're buying a vehicle from a startup. Now, startups can be big. I mean, one of those startups right now is Ford. Uh, Ford has not produced a huge amount of electric vehicles, and therefore they get uh, a credit. And after that, it's pretty much foreign companies. There's a lot of foreign companies that get that tax credit. The big ones, Tesla and GM, have already produced enough electric vehicles where they don't get the credit. So, not exactly a great credit for the taxpayer and the American people. So, this credit will be tied to, uh, will be unlimited. So, it could be for anybody. But there's two important provisions in there. One is, I got to get this ball for Luna. You need to get these closer to me, sweetie. One of them is a salary cap. So if your wages or your what you report in income taxes is over a certain amount, you don't get the credit. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm enjoying some coffee this morning. Hope you have something to enjoy your morning with. Should have led with that because it is important to start your morning off right. A little coffee for me. The other provision in there is that certain amounts of the assembly and materials have to be either in the U.S. and or uh, sourced from people who are considered uh, close allies to the United States. I think much of that provision has to do with the fact that we have gotten a lot of raw materials from Russia in the past, and they are definitely not helping our democracy situation right now. They are looking after their own interests, but that's a different subject. So this bill, they're voting on it today, and then after that, it'll go to President Biden for signature. The It would encourage a lot of new development in the United States. It is a very good bill, very well done. Some people are really worried about the fact that there is so many provisions in it to source any inside the United States that it's almost impossible to pull all those things over from China and some of the other foreign countries that have been doing a lot of our building for us. But my attitude is we got to start, and I believe in uh, companies can go and get things done. So the system to me looks very good. There are some flaws. Nothing out of Washington ever DC seems to be very perfect. It's amazing. Um, the U.S. government, as big and powerful as it is, you would think they'd have some a little bit better uh, structure on some stuff. One of the things that not great about it is it also supports um, hybrids with a battery. Um, yeah, most people that I know that buy that, they buy them and then they pretty much just run them off the gasoline because and they don't charge up the battery very often, and they're pretty inefficient compared to battery electric vehicles. But anyways, it's still definitely a good bill. Um, let's talk about the empathy, and let's talk a little bit about the system when it comes to that. So, empathy here is we have a lot of concerns about two things. I'm going to take the the big one first, and that's global warming. I have a lot of concerns about global warming right now, uh, and, and you know, I'm not telling you guys anything new. You probably have heard a lot about global warming, and I don't have to reiterate the dire situation that we find ourselves in. The other part of that is a desire to prevent people that have large amounts of oil from controlling the structure of uh, uh, of our transportation and many other things that energy provides, and to minimize their impact on what will happen to us when they, and like in the case currently, Russia is under sanctions and it's causing a lot of issues with getting more oil. Hold on, I gotta get it before it rolls away too far. I wish you would just put the ball right here. I could just pick it up. She's anyway. So that's the two things. So uh let's talk about empathy on both of those. Oh, Jesus. Uh, I had Luna here in my mouth. Went under there somewhere. All right. Sorry, Dad. She is a pretty girl and she's got the very big white skirt fur, but her hairs, they do fly sometimes. I guess she should be losing a winter coat or having her summer. But anyway, uh, empathy about global warming. Remember, we had the five. Care. I think there's a lot of care because there's a lot of concern by a lot of people about how this will impact not only uh, everyone, but especially those that don't have the resources to cope with the change. There's a lot of countries that um, don't have enough uh, infrastructure and abilities to fix problems that have will occur as the temperature increases. So that's care. I think everybody agrees with that. Fairness. Fairness is a big one. Fairness is the one we probably have the most difficulty resolving. There's a lot of people that want to uh, have it be a even playing field, and there's a lot of people also that want it to be an uneven playing field. Uh, One of the things that Donald Trump had a big problem with the Paris Accords was the fact that he said that China, which was is the third largest economic power at that time, now it's the second largest, was pretty much given a pass that they didn't have to do very much. And he thought that was unfair. Um, Biden's stance on it was that it's too important to nitpick over this. We just need to get it done for the sake of the world. Again, both both two different things, and Trump thought the fairness issue was significant, so that's why he withdrew us from the Paris Accords. The other thing is loyalty. Loyalty, I can't think of anything specifically with this. Let's take just a second for loyalty. Um, I guess there's a little bit of loyalty when it comes to um, getting getting ourselves independent off of other resources. But that's going to be later. That's the other part. I can't think of anything for loyalty. Okay, how about loyalty to our children, to the generations coming before after us? We don't want to leave a hellscape for them. We want to leave a paradise as much as we can. So maybe there's loyalty for our children. Um, then we have sanctity and authority. Sanctity and authority are pushing back against some of the changes. Because part of the sanctity is there's a lot of push to upend the way we do business. And the reason I've told you, sanctity has nothing to do with religion. It's more along the lines of what we allow. We've told people in the past is your responsibility, it's yours. And there's a lot of farmers that are being pushed really hard to not use the same farming techniques that could cause more global warming. And because they're doing that push, they're producing less food, they're producing less money, so they're in a lot of financial difficulties, and that's everywhere. Canada, Europe, Sri Lanka had a huge revolt there, and part of that was because of the discontinuance of fertilizer there. I mean, and they did it like that. They didn't like slowly roll it out like they should have. So there's a lot of sanctity issues against this because We need to allow a lot of people to be able to adjust to these the needs that we have to do to improve this. And then the last one, authority. That's another problem one. That's another one pushing back because who decides when things have to happen and who is allowed to do them? So that's another one that's pushing back against making changes. Now, it has nothing to really do with Bill, that has to do with global warming. But they are things, this is why the bill is actually the way it's structured. Um, there's a lot of good in the bill because not only is it encouraging, not forcing you to buy an electric car, but it's encouraging. It's also encouraging manufacturers to do things in the US, loyalty, move into the US. And on top of that, there's nothing in there that says you can't buy something that doesn't meet all these things. You just don't get the bonus. That's is it's not a law. You won't go to jail. You're not going to do anything like that. I love encouragement like that when the government makes things um, what they call a carrot instead of the stick. You know, here's what you can do to make things better, and we're going to give you a carrot if you do that. We're not going to throw you in jail if you don't. I can get up and get my little girl's ball. So I think we've covered that quite a bit. I was going to try and split it up over the two systems involved and talk about the empathy, but as you noticed, I kind of rambled between the two anyway by going through the different empathies. So I think overall, the bill does a really good job of taking care of those areas of empathy, all of them. I think the only one that I'm not really sure about is the fairness, but I think it's good. But we'll find out. That's why empathy is important. Empathy is going to tell us over time whether or not these systems that put in place actually are beneficial. So, from my take, everything is. So it's one of the best bills I've seen in a while. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you later.